are live today on Market Faith. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, go ahead, invite your friends, invite your colleagues. It's going to be a great time today as we talk about critical thinking for problem solving. Come on. All right. Back into order. A son and daughter, the King of glory, the King above all. Shines like the sun in all of its brilliance. Thank you so much once again for joining. We're going to start in a few, all right, few seconds, just waiting for a few more people to join, and then we'll start and dive right into this. Then I will be set. All right, awesome. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Wow. All right, awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of Market Faith today. I trust that you had a great day so far. And it's about to get greater. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today on Market Faith. My name is Deji Agboade. It's always a delight, always a pleasure to bring you teachings to help in your business. I'm always excited about it and always excited about doing that. I just had a conversation with a couple of friends, and we were talking about this as well, and what we can do to just be better and to add greater value to more people, all those types of things. So I want to encourage you to do something for me. All right, please do this for me. Right. Our goal really is to help your business thrive, to help your business succeed, and to do a lot better than what you would have done by yourself. I always say this, that when I was growing up, I wish I had people to teach me some of the things that I'm sharing with you on Market Faith. I would have done a lot better than what I'm doing today in my businesses. So I want to encourage you, if you know anyone who is doing business, right, please send them the link, send them our YouTube channel. The link to our YouTube channel. If you don't know, we actually have a YouTube channel. Just Google Market Faith. Just check Market Faith on YouTube. Type it into the search bar, one word, Market Faith, and then we'll come up, and then you can subscribe. You can hit the notification bell, and then hit the smash the like button so that our ranking is better on YouTube. But more importantly, I'd like you to please share this with a friend. And the reason why is that, sometimes people don't even appreciate what they've been given, which is fine, right? But do your part and share with them and let them know, right? If you can't, put this on your WhatsApp status, on your WhatsApp DM, whatever it is, and just share this with someone. It's a favor I'm asking that you please do, and just to be a blessing to somebody else. All right. So thank you so much for doing that. All right. Go ahead and put it on your status. Some of you may need to log out on Instagram and log back in, whatever it is, but go ahead and share with someone today. Right. And I trust that it will be a very, very big blessing. All right, to them. So let's get into this. All right. So now we have been talking about thinking for problem solving, and today I want to touch on one more thing along those lines before I switch on to something else starting from next week. Now, we've started out with this series talking about problem solving, the importance of thinking differently about problems, and why it is critical for you in your business to think differently about problems. We then moved on to talking about strategic thinking, right? We acknowledge the fact that there are 6 thinking hats as popularized, by a couple of people, right? But for the purpose of this conversation, we're just focusing on strategic thinking, tactical or systemic thinking, and then today we're going to be talking about critical thinking for problem solving. In other words, whenever you are faced with a challenge and a problem in your business that you did not envisage, you did not envisage it when you were thinking strategically, you did not envisage it when you were developing systems, right? But this problem has now showed up. How do you tackle those types of problems? What is some sort of a systematic way to problem solving in businesses, all right? Because after you have defined your strategy, and you have defined your system, there are challenges that will come up that you never envisage. That is the nature of business. There's nothing to panic about. There's nothing to be concerned about. It just means that you are in business. There are certain challenges that will come up that you never planned for, and they will show up in your business. Critical thinking is about devising solutions to such problems. It's about thinking critically about that particular issue and then finding out a solution to solve that particular problem. So for example, you have a supplier that supplies you a particular product, right? And you've signed an SLA that they will not deliver late, etc. But what happens when they absolutely and totally fail? Right? That was not really necessarily envisaged, and it's a problem that you may need to solve at that particular point in time. And there can be so many examples. All right, you never envisaged that the car that you are using for Uber will be stolen, all right, and it will disrupt your business for a number of days, all right. So what exactly can you do? How do you solve those problems? Hopefully you have insurance and all those types of things so that your car can be replaced, etc. But there is still time that it takes before that can happen, all right. So it's very, very important that you understand how to solve problems that arise from your day-to-day activities. So it's about devising solutions to such problems. Critical thinking is about using knowledge, facts, data to solve problems effectively. It's about using knowledge, facts, data to solve problems effectively. Many people are trying to solve problems that they don't have data on. Many people are trying to solve problems that they don't have facts about. Critical thinking is about leveraging data and facts to solve problems. It's about being skeptical and challenging assumptions, right? You must be able to challenge assumptions. That's what you're doing when you're thinking critically to solve problems. You're saying that, look, this particular thing that happens, is this one-off? Why does it happen this way? Why do we all have to drive to work on the Monday morning, right? It's an assumption, right, that some people have made, and they don't think about it anymore. Why do we drive on the right? Why don't we drive on the left? What assumptions do we make in our daily lives that we can begin to question in the process of trying to solve problems? It asks questions like, how do we know? Is this always true, or is this a one-off situation where this is happening one-off? All right. Those are the kind of questions that you ask when you are thinking critically. It's about being open to learning, to sharing, and all of that. So all of those are the things that you do when you are thinking critically. So I want to just give you very quickly a framework for solving problems, right? It's a 4-step framework. It's called REDI, R-E-D-I, right? Which is an acronym for recognize assumptions, evaluate arguments or options, draw your conclusions, and then implement and follow up, all right? REDI, right? Ready, right? The first one says recognize assumptions, right? Whenever you are going into solving any problem, one of the first questions you must ask yourself is this: what are the assumptions we are making in this particular situation? So for example, let's look at the example where we said maybe a car that you are using for Uber was stolen, right? What are the assumptions that we have made, right? Firstly, we may have assumed that it wasn't a conspiracy, that the driver was not involved in the particular, theft. I'm not saying he was, I'm just saying that it's an assumption, right? It's an assumption. It may be an assumption that the driver was also parked in the right place at the right time, and he wasn't very careless to leave the keys in a place where someone could have easily taken it. So again, you are questioning and you are checking what are the things that are assumptions, what are the things that are facts, all right? For example, if the car was stolen on a sunny day, in broad daylight, right? That's a fact. It's a fact that, the sun was out, the sun was shining. That you can't argue with that, because, that's a fact. That was what was happening in that particular day. If it was on a rainy day, that's a fact, right? The rain fell and all those types of things. But you must be able to separate the fact from the assumption. The assumption that, like I said earlier, the driver wasn't involved, this wasn't a coordinated attack or anything of such nature. All right. So you must recognize assumptions. That's the first thing that is in the framework for solving any problem. Too many people jump into trying to solve a problem without recognizing their biases, without recognizing the assumptions that they are making in that particular scenario. All right. You may say that people that are from a particular tribe are like this, right? It's an assumption. It's not necessarily a fact, because no matter what the way you think people of a particular tribe are, there are some people who are exceptions to the rule. So it's not saying that assumptions are bad, because the reality is that, and science tells you this, you must make some assumptions in trying to solve certain problems. So assumptions are not the problem. The problem is understanding the assumptions that you are making and establishing whether those assumptions make sense, or whether those assumptions can be true or not in every case. So the first thing, R, stands for recognize assumptions. The second one is what I call evaluate arguments / options, right? Break down the scenarios, brainstorm, think through what are your options, right? So the car has been stolen. What are our options? Okay, the first thing is we may need to go and report at the nearest police station. We may need to talk to the insurance company, or we may need to, get a private investigator involved. What exactly are the arguments and the options? And as a problem solver, you must be, I don't remember who said this now, but someone said that, one of the tests of maturity is the ability to hold in one mind two opposing views and not getting distracted or not getting confused. All right. So it's about taking the fact that, look, it's possible that this is the issue. It's also possible that this is the issue. All right. Now, based on that, right, you want to then evaluate and see all the arguments. Leave no stone unturned. Look at all the options. Whenever somebody comes to meet you and say, Oga, listen, there are only two ways. There are only two options. There is this or this, right? Be critical enough in the way you think to say that, look, yes, I hear you, but the reality is that whenever you tell me that there are two options, I need to pick between this or this, I can pick both or I can pick neither. So I've created 4 options automatically. I can pick both or I can pick neither. All right. But be careful when people tell you that, look, this is the only way out. You need to be careful, right? Because the reality is this, right? And in most situations in life, 99% of the situations in life, right, there is not only one option, right? You always have more than one option. So don't let people, guilt trip you and put you in a place where they make you feel bad, or put you in a place where they make you feel funny, just because you are asking or looking for options. Very, very important. Evaluate the arguments, right? Listen to both sides. All right. I've advised a client before in an organization where, executive management were so tightly knit that it was difficult to come up with an opposing opinion in that setup, right? Every one of them were looking at things from a particular perspective. So when you come up with an opinion that is contrary to that perspective, you are sometimes seen as not being part of them, right? That's not the way it should be. People should be able to share their views. People should be able to air their opinions and help you to see things from a different perspective. The D there. So there's R, there's E. D there means draw conclusions. Draw conclusions. I see too many people do what we call analysis paralysis, where you have analyzed everything to the last detail and you have refused to make a decision, right? Listen, you must make a decision. Sometimes a wrong decision is better than no decision. Sometimes a wrong decision is better than no decision. I've seen where people and organizations are waiting, right, to make a decision, and it becomes too late, right? The better organizations that I have seen, they make a decision, but when they make a decision, they are measuring and watching it. so that they can change as quickly as possible. All right. So they make a decision, they commit to it, but when they see, they are monitoring the data to check every time. When they see that the decision is not going in their favor, they are very quick to flip. They are very quick to change. They are very quick to change their minds. Listen, God is not a man that he should change his mind. Man is not God. That's why he changes his mind. Do not feel bad for changing your mind. Changing your mind is not a bad thing. Do it on time. Do it as professionally as you possibly can and manage the change. All right. But don't say that because of what people will say, you need to make a change and you refuse to make that change. So draw a conclusion. And then the last part is I, which is implement and follow up, right? You may have made a decision to go this direction in your business, but many times people don't implement that decision. The decision has been made, but management hasn't followed up to check that the decision has been implemented and followed through. So you want to ensure that in solving problems, no problem is solved by analysis. Every problem is solved by action. All right. You don't solve problems by thinking through. You don't solve problems by brainstorming. You solve problems by solving, by acting on what you have brainstormed, by acting on what you have thought through. This is very critical. Don't just come through and think through and think and think and think, and that's where it ends. You must take relevant steps to implement and follow up, right? And I'm going to close with this. Guidelines that will help you, right, in solving problems. Guidelines that will help you. Just 2-3 things to think through whenever you're trying to solve problems. The first thing is this. Watch your composition of your team to ensure that you don't achieve what you call false consensus. Meaning that everybody is agreeing, not because they agree, but because maybe one person has spoken, they has created a bias in the room, and then we can't find an objective solution to what we're doing. All right. When you're trying to solve problems, put people who have contrary views together and let them come up with a solution. And the reason why is that you want them to be able to hold all the thoughts and all the opinions in coming up with a solution. This is important. Avoid what you call false consensus. When people are arriving at a consensus, not because that's what they really think, but because they are trying to please you, right? Like the example I gave earlier, where you have an organization where, it's difficult to say anything contrary to what management thinks. Number 2, be clear in the goal and the objective and communicate that clearly. Be clear in the goals and objective of that problem, what you're trying to do, and communicate the problem. So for example, you want to solve the problem of the car that was stolen, that you were using for Uber, etc., right? What is the end goal? The end goal is we want a car to come back. The end goal is not that we want to report to insurance. Neither is the end goal the fact that we want to report at the police station. No, the end goal is that we want our car back. Whatever it is, the problem has not yet been solved until the car returns. Do not chase shadows. Do not chase activity without results. The goal is results, not activity. So never mistake activities for results. People may come to you and say, I have made 20 sales calls today. How many sales did you make? That is what is important. So you can't just come and meet me and tell me that, oh, you called 20 customers. Where are the deals? Where are the transactions? All right. Very, very important. All right. And then the last thing I'll say is this: in providing guidelines that can help is pointing your people in the direction of where to go and where to find information that will help them. Pointing your people in the right direction, where to find information that will help them. So for example, again, using the example of the car that was stolen, you want your people to report to the police, but you know the commissioner of police and you can help them out with that information. You can give them a contact person that can help them, etc. When you are giving people problems to solve, right? I know that many times, many of us have the tendency to think that, look, you are challenging them when you don't give them any sort of help. Yes, you may be challenging them, but you may also be prolonging the time it will take, because smart people will eventually figure it out. Yes. However, they could have saved time. If time is not an issue and a factor, no problem. You can give your people and tell your people to find the solution themselves. But if time is a factor, like it is in most businesses, there is no glory in letting your people suffer first before they find the answers. That's not the way this thing should be. Provide as much guidance, provide as much direction as you possibly can. Then leave them to solve the problem. Leave them to come up with the solution. But when you leave people, be careful to ensure you touch base with them from time to time. You have not abdicated, you are delegating. Delegation means that you are still responsible, but you are giving people the opportunity to work on that assignment. So these are things that will be critical for you in solving problems within your organization. Whatever problem comes your way, you will find a solution, and you will get people's input as well in ensuring that you deliver on that particular thing. I hope that has helped you today. Thank you so much once again for joining me. Don't forget, share this with someone. Talk to someone about this. It will really, really help them. Let them be the ones to say, you know what, I don't need this, but at least you've shared it with them. And I'm sure that they'll really need it because it's helpful for you, and I'm sure it'll be helpful for them as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. God bless you. I'll see you next time.